how to be a real waitress when I worked at Conklins. So Conklins was a place that my buddy Jeannie Marie worked at and spoke about a lot, and it was always like the place to go for fine dining for surf and turf, what they call it. I mean, they had escargot. They had the best clam chowder you ever had. I still use that recipe today. Um, and the owner, Bruce Conklin, was there a lot of the time, checking on the restaurant. And that very nice man, uh, no problem to work with. Bartender, he was albino. It reminded me something of something out of a movie, and had a radio announcer voice, and was really a nice guy. The chef was from Australia. He was a character. He looked like captain of a boat with long blonde curly hair and a mustache. Really funny cat. And this restaurant was like mostly wood, big tall booths, and then a real small bar, like a 6 or 8 stool bar off to one corner. Um, it was candle lit. How they got away with it, I don't know. But we had little bitty candles we had to light, come like the evening time, that were all around the top of the booths and stuff. And I think we had even had candles on the table. And the kitchen wasn't that big. The neat thing about it was they had the salad in an ice machine. It was already chopped up, prepared every day, put in an ice machine, and then you would scoop it out, onto a plate, and that's how you did it. Um, the chef was wonderful. Um, you had a real tall countertop, and there was a like a swinging wood door thing, so you had to like duck under the countertop to get through the swinging door. And you could go get your food from the chef, put it up on the counter, go out the door, then reach over the top of the counter and get the food and take it to the table. It was very high end and considered to be very expensive in the day. And um, it was very impressive. It was open till late at night. The bar closed at 2 a.m. And uh, dinner, I think they stopped serving dinner like midnight or something like that. Um, and it was open in the day, I think around noontime, something like that. But the menu was quite impressive. Um, Fabulous appetizers from escargot, just all kinds of great stuff, and that's where I learned how to be a waitress. Uh, I went down there. I was underage. I didn't have fake ID quite yet, but I was underage, and I went down there to apply for a job. I talked to the bartender, and he said, "Yeah, you could be a server, but somebody's going to have to carry any of your liquor to the table. You can't physically carry it." And I was like, "What?" He said, "It's California state law." Now this place was down in Marina Del Rey, um, on Washington Boulevard, walking distance of the beach, across from the um, there was a Washington Square Mall right across the street from it, which was a what I would call a little mall, and then it had a big, tall office building over it, and a parking structure, and there was a grocery store there on the first level, and then the upper levels of the mall were retail stores that were very high end. Theodore's was there. I had worked at Theodore's while I was in high school, um, and some other really awesome stores. But Conklins was kind of a rustic looking place. Um, he had free peanuts, shelled peanuts, and you were to take the shelled peanuts and throw the shells on the floor. It was like a sawdust floor with shelled peanuts, which was really kind of neat because if anybody spilled a drink or anything, it was absorbed immediately and nobody slipped and fell or anything like that. Um, it was painted back because I wore dresses all the time and hose and like open toed sandals with heels and stuff like that. And the sawdust would get up under my toes and stuff, and it was kind of a pain. But um, I dressed very sexy, very elegant for this job. Um, there was a girl that worked there, and she, how do I describe her? She looked like vegetarian hippie, glasses, brown hair, thin, um, very, hippie looking attire like paisley and stuff like that. Um, and, just not terribly pretty, just kind of average girl, probably in her mid 20s. Very stern, very dry, um, very intimidating. Um, Almost, I guess you would call just about ruthless. But that's because she was like the ultimate professional. And so when I went to work there, she was to teach me their way, of setting up the tables and waiting on the customers and all that kind of stuff. And I really didn't care for her. She was not into making friends or anything like that. And I really felt like she hated me. But I was going to, make that job work because I really wanted to work there. It was high end and the tips are really good in there. And I mean, like, you didn't even care about your pay because the tips were so good. So I knew, from people that had worked there. And, uh, and I mean, your first clue is look at the menu. What are the prices on the menu? What kind of food do they serve? You know, that's your first clue is if you're going to make any money there. Because, if the average Joe can't come in there and buy $1.50 hamburger, then, then it's going to be better tips. It's going to be people that can more afford to eat there. So anyway, and boy, their food was fantastic in there. Man. Anyway, this girl's like teaching me, and I'm absorbing everything I can, and trying to follow her direction and everything. And she was not into the babysitting effect. It was like she'd tell you once, you better have listened. And so I paid very close attention. I started on the day shift with her and just listened to everything she said and took it completely, for granted. Um, and so, um, she told me, okay, look, you have to sell before dinner drink, uh, a bottle of wine or champagne for during dinner, after dinner dessert drinks. Uh, you sell appetizer, salads come before the meal, uh, and serve the meal first. Woman always gets served first when it's a couple, and always suggest a dessert. And so you can imagine the bill was usually very high, usually in the hundreds. Um, so it was not hard to do because people love to come in there, especially as couples, and they spent time there. Um, I think the bar really kept it alive, the little tiny bar, because there was regulars that came in every day or every night, and they would spend time there, and they were heavy drinkers. Um, and there was one guy that always used to say hi to me and compliment me that he's coming to the bar. His name was Bill, and uh, he was a really nice guy, great smile, and pretty blue eyes, and we became very good friends and ended up being drinking buddies. And there's another story after that I'll tell you. So anyway, I worked there, made huge money, and uh, I did everything this girl said. She told me keep that table clean. Don't leave any dirty dishes on the table ever. No trash, no dirty dishes. You keep an eye on that table. You can tell if they're looking around or anything that you better get over there, you know, and see if there's something they need. When they close the menu, it's time to take their order. First thing you do is bring them drinks. Because if you have a lot of tables, at least if you get their drinks, at least they feel like somebody's paid attention to them. And but she said, most of all, you must keep that table clean. So you had to go over there, and when they finished their appetizer or their salad, you'd say, "Shall I take this plate for you, miss?" And then they would give you permission, and you would take it very carefully, not to get it on them or spill it or anything like that, and you would be gone. If they talk to you, you talk to them. If they asked for tourist directions or something, you told them. Um, you were just super nice and friendly, and that was another thing. If you could sell yourself, then you made the tips too. You know, so you wanted to be kind of a personalized service. So I followed her direction. I really was good with selling, and they were very, very happy with me. The bartender was a wonderful, helpful guy. Man, they were just great, even the chef. And then, I made good friends with the chef. And when you do that, they will make you anything you want. There was one of my favorite, things to eat is like a fettuccine alfredo. And we didn't serve that in that dinner house. And one night the chef says, "Can I make you something to eat?" I said, "Sure." He said, "What do you like?" I said, "Fettuccine Alfredo." He says, "Well, we don't have that here, but I can make it." And he said, "How about if I put a little seafood in there?" I said, "Okay, as long as it's not like escargot or octopus or something." And so he made me the most fabulous fettuccine Alfredo. I didn't pay a penny for it. It was so wonderful. I watched him make it from scratch, the Alfredo sauce. Impressive. He's like, "That's easy." Um, so I really, really enjoyed working there. I made humongous money in tips. Um, we used to have to call the credit cards in. I had two credit cards I got $100 reward for, because you would have to stand on the phone, get the authorization number and everything from the operator, and write it on the credit card bill. And a lot of times they'd say, "Is the party present that gave you this card?" I say, "Yes." And they said, "Do not return the card." And sometimes the police would be called. It was interesting. And so uh, those cards were held and then returned to the credit card companies. And then I would get a reward of $150. And so that was, profitable. Um, and But most of the time everybody could afford it. But it was mostly all by credit card. Tips were usually always cash. And so um, it it was really a lot of fun to work. And because the dinner house closed earlier than the bar, it was pretty convenient because um, I could, go out and party after work. And I didn't have a car back then. I roller skated to work, bicycle rode to work, took taxis, took the bus, sometimes got rides on occasion. And so, I didn't have to worry about drinking and driving or anything like that. And I dressed the part. I was very into the fashion industry, and dressed very sexy. I had really long nails. I used to do my own nail art and stuff. And you know, I looked the part. Matter of fact, I didn't even get carded till after I was 21. I was like, man. But anyway, so I really enjoyed working there. I ended up leaving there, and I went to work at Hank Venditti's and Marriott. I worked at Marriott and a few other places, and then I managed a beer bar before I was even 21 with fake ID. But anyway, so years later, I'm working out on Venice Beach at the weight pen. I used to spend like 8 hours a day there, man. I just lived and breathed Venice Beach. And so my old drinking buddy Bill, that was a customer at Conklins, caught up with me and he said, "Where you been?" I said, "Everywhere." you know, I think I hit every dance floor, nightclub in the state of California from San Francisco to San Diego, including Tijuana. Um, but he's like, you know, um, uh, everybody, has missed you, since Conklin's closed. They hit end up closing, and I was like, oh. So anyway, about 6 months go by, and somebody comes up to me at, at the weight pen and says, "Hey, there's 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 somebody looking for you that has Conklins." I'm like, "Bruce Conklin?" And they were like, I don't know, but apparently somebody's bought Conklins and reopened it. And I'm like, "Really?" I'd be running because I love that place. And uh, so I went down to Conklins that week, walked in the door, and it was a brightly lit place, completely remodeled. They had put a big long bar on the right side of the building, and it was kind of an open floor, had a pool table, which we never had a pool table in there. And there was like two people at the bar. I wasn't sure if it was even in operation. "Hey, hey, how are you?" And so uh, there was a little tiny little short lady. I think her name was April Paris. Paris? I think it was Paris. And real cute blonde little tiny lady, probably about 40 years old, all about 100 pounds, dressed really spiffy, in a dress. And I had asked for the owner manager that I was sent message to come because they wanted me to work there, but it was so different. And so uh, she says, "Yes, that's me." And I said, "Well, how do I know you?" And she says, "Well, you don't." So we were talking, and that about 30 minutes later, this guy walks in a suit, and it's my old drinking buddy Bill. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Ran up, gave him a big hug. We were buddies, and this guy saved my life one night. We were drunk as dog poop, and we were down by the beach. We'd gone to Sandbar and a couple other places, and we were walking in front of Thomas Number Five, and there's little alleys in between the businesses, and we were like headed to the next bar, and we were going by this alley, and I'm in like stiletto heels and real pretty gown, and he's holding my hand, and all of a sudden this Porsche comes down the alley, a little bit fast, and Bill literally grabbed me by the arm and yanked me up in the air and saved me from being run over by this Porsche. And I mean, I was really scared, and I was plastered. You know what I mean? But you could see danger. And so, like, he saved my life. I would have lost my legs. And man, I mean, what a great friend, great guy. I mean, we just adored each other. It was just very interesting relationship. Um, but my party buddy, he never, you know, did anything sexually to me or anything. But we were everything but that. I mean, I stayed at his place lots of times. He's like, ah, forget it. Why don't you come stay at my place? You know, he was like total bachelor. Like all he had was like one beer and one tomato juice in the fridge. Very little furniture. Lived in a high-dollar apartment um, next to that little mall there, and we were just buddies, man. And here he comes in a suit, run up, give him a big hug, like I haven't seen him in, years and years. And so, I told her, I said, I know this guy. He's one of our, regulars at Conklins years ago. And so then, she gives me an application, and I'm sitting in the bar filling it out. Bill's standing like next to me. He said, "That girl is my girlfriend." I said, "You're kidding. Oh my God." And I ran up and hugged you. And he's like, "It's okay." And I said, "Oh, geez." I said, "Well, I mean, the word was put out. She was looking for me, And all he said, because I told her about you. You were the best waitress Conklin's ever had." I'm like, "Nah." And I said, "The best waitress I ever had was the girl that taught me everything I know." And so I ended up going back to work there, and I bartended and waitressed. And uh, the night of my birthday uh, was really funny. Um, they I, I was standing there. It was kind of dead, just about nightfall. Standing there watching the window, watching the people walk by and the cars go by. And all of a sudden, this big limo pulls up, and this really good looking limo lady driver with the real nouveau cut hair with the long front bangs and real short hair. And she looked like my hairdresser at one point, whose name was Loma. Man, she had that look. And comes out, she has the sash going across her tux kind of thing, you know. And I laughed. I said, "Well, there's my limo." And she comes into the restaurant, and she's asked for me by name. And I said, "Yes, what can I help you with?" And she says, "Well, I'm supposed to pick you up." I said, "What?" "I'm at work." Bill is sitting at the bar with Paris, and he's laughing, looking at me and stuff, and trying to cover his mouth up. And I'm like, "What kind of bad joke is this?" And so uh, I walked over. I said, "Well, just a minute." And I walked over to Bill and Paris, and I said, "Look, I don't know what this is all about, but um, it's not funny." I said, "This limo driver lady is standing there, came and asked for me, and says she's supposed to take me for a ride." And he goes, "That's right." And I said, "I mean, you trying to get rid of me or what?" And he goes, "No, it's for your birthday." And I'm like, "It's for my birthday. I'm supposed to be working. How am I supposed to do this and I'm working?" And he said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "It's slow." And he says, "As a matter of fact, um, it's all taken care of. So go have a blast." And I'm like, "In a limo all by myself? You guys coming?" "No, we got to run the restaurant." I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." So anyway, I'm standing out there with a limo driver, and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what to do." She goes, "Well, you got friends?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, let's go pick them up." So we drove down to Hinano's. I had a good friend of mine. It was the son of the people that owned the Hiltons in Vegas, and his name was Gypsy. And he kind of had that hippie Tony Orlando type look, and he always shot pool down at Hinano's. Hinano's was kind of a rough biker bar, very rustic place, like a hut. I think it's still there, as a matter of fact, on Washington Boulevard. And They had the best hamburger on the face of the earth. Hananos and Thomas Number Five were the best hamburgers in California. And so, anyway, I said, I need to go down to Hananos. Let me go see if my friend is here. So I ran into Hananos, and Gypsy was sure as heck shooting pool. I said, Gypsy, you want to go hang out and party? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, look out the door. I said, see that limo? I got a free limo. He said, no, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. I was at work, and I got a free limo, and I wanted to see if you want to hang out with me because I didn't want to go alone. Oh, that's nice, I think. Now, the Hilton is called the Westgate, really. And so, anyway, growing up in California, you know a lot of famous people and famous kids, very wealthy people or stars that are kind of like rejects, like the cast off from the family. Um, it's really funny because you never believe this guy's, parents own the Hiltons. And I'd ask other people, is that really true? And they're like, oh, yeah. But anyway, so he said, well, sure, yeah, I'm going. And I said, okay. I said, you know anybody else we could like pick up? And so uh, the limo driver, oh, he says, Gypsy says, hey, look, let's go get some booze. Because this thing had like, you know, places in the doors for ice. It had, champagne glasses. It was amazing. I'm like, a car with ice in it. And so we pull up at the Marina liquor store. That was like, it was at Washington Boulevard, and I think it was Via Marina is the street. And it's right at the corner there in that shopping strip. And so we pull up in front there, and Gypsy's going in picking out stuff. And the limo driver, came in with us. And she says, get whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, So Gypsy picked out some stuff. We got some amaretto, some other stuff. And so then the limo driver whips out this credit card. And she hands it to, the person behind the counter. And it was like, you're paying for it? She says, no. I was given this credit card by the guy that rented the limo. And it was like, huh? It was Bill's card. And she was like, get whatever you want. So we double back. We're like, do we need this? Do we need this? So we got some more stuff and loaded it into the car. It was a riot. Now, uh, so I had changed into some jeans or something. Or I wore jeans to work or something. I had these really, really, really nice jeans. And I can't remember if it was the Britannias or the Chemin de Fer that I was wearing. And uh, that's about the only time way back that I would wear jeans. I just didn't like them. They were nice when they were dittos or chemin de fer or stuff like that. Lace up jeans, zip up the side jeans, patchwork jeans, tie dye jeans, lattice jeans, all the cool jeans. And so anyway, uh, uh, she says, where would you like to go? And so let me see, I can find a couple more friends, and I think we picked up a couple more people. And so, uh, what was I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Gypsy says, "Hey, you want to party?" And he whips out this little bottle, and a little glass bottle with a top on it. And he says, uh, "Look what I got." I'm like, "So what is that?" He's like, "Toot." And I said, "Okay, cool." And so he says, "You don't mind, do you?" And I'm like, "No, go ahead." So he goes to toot it, and he's like sitting forward, and all of a sudden he drops like this whole bottle of toot on my left leg, okay? And he's sitting to the left of me. And it was like, uh-oh. And he's like, "You don't mind, do you?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "If I like, snorted off your leg. And I'm like, no, go right ahead. I mean, it's like the most expensive pair of jeans, on the face of the earth. And so, anyway, we're trying to figure out where to go. I said, I know where to go. There was this place that had opened. It was supposed to be the ideal dance place, and it was called the Bonaventure in downtown LA. And it's supposed to be like a big round glass building. It was, high rise. It was supposed to be the thing, you know. And, um, you know, I told the driver, I said, you ever heard of the Bonaventure? She says, oh, yes. And I said, could we go there? She says, I don't care where you want to go. You want to go to Vegas? Where do you want to go? I'm like, really? Like, how long do we have a limo? She says, as long as you want it. And I'm like, really? So we ended up with, I think, about 4 or 5 people total. And we go downtown, and the limo driver, gets us in the Bonaventure, and we had to park this big old limo. She wanted to wait with the car. I said, no, you're coming with us. And she's like, well, yeah. Why are you going to sit here? And so she's like, well, okay. So we all go up in the Bonaventure. She gets us in, and it wasn't real busy or anything. And I was so excited to be at the Bonaventure. What a big deal. Um, the happening place. And man, was it neat. And man, I danced and danced and danced, and it was kind of dead. Um, because it wasn't like a weekend night. And so, what a blast. And so then we left there and hit some other clubs, and, it was really funny because, the limo would be out front. Went down to the old Marriott where I had worked before as a hostess. Um, and, pulled that bad baby out front and went in there, and a couple other dumpy little clubs, just to blow people away. And then, got back, real late, you know, um, and I guess right before the restaurant closed, I think. And man, what a night. Also, uh, Bill had um, uh, brought out a big birthday cake and laid it on the pool table before I had even left for the limo. And I had never seen that birthday cake so big in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, like crying. Like, I was like, wow, you know. And then I'm sitting there going, man, I should have, like, been this guy's girlfriend for real. What a prince. And he's going to get so much trouble with this girl for doing all this stuff for me, you know, because, I mean, wow, it was incredible. And the only thing is that Conklins never really revived. I think they took most all the food out of it, where there wasn't any food at all, and they just wanted to make it a bar, and it just never really quite made it. It was open day shift and night shift, and day shift was absolutely dead. I bartended in it. Um, uh, and that's back when I was with Bill West too. And Bill West would come in and sit at the end of the bar and drink Coke. And he was a recovering alcoholic, and um, he always was a good boy when I was at work, very proper and stuff. And but man, how impressive! But that's how I learned how to be the waitress, was at Conklins, not at Denny's or some breakfast joint. Was at Conklins. I seriously learned how to serve, and I will never forget that girl. I will never forget what she taught me. I've made huge money on it all these years later when I worked at the casinos and for the hospitality industry and the hotels. Um, you know, and I mean I've utilized that for years and years and years. And so it's sad because today a lot of the servers don't know how to serve. They want to leave all the dirty dishes until you pay the bill and get up from the table and then like grab it all in a big pile and throw it back at the dish people. They have no clue how to handle a table at all. And it's a shame because it makes you money. And I don't care if you're working at Golden Corral or you're working at the Hilton, with $100 plate meals. If you're a good server, you can really make good money. Um, Even, I remember when California changed the tipping wage, it was like $1.80 an hour, some dumb thing. $1.80 or $2.10 an hour. And I didn't even know till after I had worked this Mexican restaurant job. And that was pitiful. Oh, I ended up getting like a $22 paycheck. Oh, what a mess that was. Oh, and we'll talk about that in another vlog. But anyway, yeah, I loved Conklins and Bill, if you're still around, I love you too. You're the sweetest. You made my birthday out of all my birthdays. I think it was one of the best. Um, and I guess my second most wonderful birthday was when my daughter took me to the water circus that I've been wanting to go to forever. And that was wonderful. And as a matter of fact, I've got a lot of those vlogs on YouTube for the water circus. That was really a treasure. Although, I'm not a big person on, gifts and, for Christmas, and my birthday and stuff and things, but my daughter was real good about, getting me roses for no reason, flowers and neat things, but, or a really neat card or a picture she'd draw. It's not how much you spend, it's a thought that counts. So, but I think those were like my two most wonderful birthdays right off the top. Was my birthday at Conklins and the water circus thing. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great one, and hope you had some birthdays even better than mine. Tell me your story. So comment below. I love you. Hope you have a great day and a very blessed and profitable day. Do something kind for a stranger, and I promise I'll see you in the next one. I love you.